Da, 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 da.
Mhm,
If
mhm,
you're
mhm.
right now, somebody made a comment about this in a post ad. This hat that Shanahan has on, they all have these, and that's
Yeah,
a good rope hat. But
yeah.
making whenever you take a really good logo, make it smaller to fit it inside something else with words around it, you make a hat or a piece of clothing worse. These hats are trash. I didn't hear what he had to say. Hopefully, it was everybody's healthy. If they win this without McCaffrey, which I mean, it's not like the line flipped to Jets' favorite. They were still favored, but that's got to feel pretty good if they can get him fully healthy for the, I don't know, home stretch or what have you. Obviously, the Schefter report was he may even miss Minnesota's game next week.
Really?
That is a current, yeah. It wasn't, it was a little wishy washy, but he brought it up. That line is, down right now most places, but I think
Dude,
it was roughly 6.5 for
five and a half
Minnesota.
ish. Yeah,
5.5,
yeah,
6.5.
yeah. Okay, so wow, interesting. The fantasy community must be just steaming, man. Whew. Imagine
You
having
you you
needing.
missed that. You missed that. So I in the only league I care about, I needed 5 points to win, and I had McCaffrey and the
Yeah.
kicker for the Niners. And I'm like, just laughing,
Oh, 50
haha.
yarder.
This is pretty easy. Well, yeah, no, like obviously the kicker already got me home, but I would have been pretty pissed if he just
Yeah.
goes out there and mucks it up, misses a bunch of kicks. Um, yeah. Last Explorer, he must be betting the field goals. It said over 3.5 field goals, 3-0 this season. We got 3 tonight. If you bet it, I'll cheer for another one. I have nothing else left on this game except some SGPs and horse shit I played on Underdog and Prop Builder once stuff started to go back up.
Yeah.
But we are going to bet the second half. We didn't have the best luck last night
Yeah.
as the Rams just hit the Cooper spam button and that shit worked. That secondary is not fixed. That
No.
might be what keeps the Lions from getting to the Super Bowl again, because just start naming the great receivers in the NFC that you're going to have to face if it's
Would you
the
see the
Eagles.
pressure rate
Yeah.
for the Lions? And it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that was wild. Again, wild that they just
The Rams are like a vampire. I mean, they have just
they're
invincible for some reason, even when they should be having problems. They are down so many linemen. They're down Puka. It wouldn't surprise me if they still have a good week next week. I think the Lions, despite what we saw last week, man, some of these matchups, they're still going to be an absolute over team, even if they decide to run the ball a lot.
Yep.
Hit the like button. The opening
You know what I
line is
liked?
San Fran. Basically a pick 'em for the second half, 21.5 for the total.
Yeah, you know what is a plus EV bet next week, I think?
What's that?
Over 49.5 in the desert. Cardinals defense is pretty bad. And the
We
Rams
didn't.
defense spent a lot of time on the field on Sunday
Yeah.
night, and they are very young and
So we
probably
didn't.
aren't in game shape yet.
We didn't get to a lot of that, but yeah, the stuff I circled today, and I've not completely updated my power numbers for
Yeah.
a couple small things, but not everything. I got most of the stuff that matters, and so far, I might bet Green Bay if that number gets back to like 4. I feel like that's. I talked to Rob about that too. I said it might just be I bet Josh Jacobs props because that Indy defense looks like it can get run on, and I'd feel a lot better than that instead of taking a shitty quarterback the second week in a row. I'm probably
Yes,
betting
great
Cleveland, Tampa Bay, Detroit over, and New York, Washington over. I think they both got hit to the over today by.
Okay, let's save some of that for overtime.
And
Let's talk about this game and let's try to find a bet. Honestly, the scripted portion of the offense
I'm not betting this game.
No, do you have you already got a winner home on the first half apparently?
Yeah,
so,
I don't want to bet the second half. What do you think of the pace for the Jets? Do you think they?
It feels like a slog.
Well, I mean,
there's
that's what I'm
a lot of Nathaniel Hackett kind of fingerprints, smudgy fingerprints all over this offense that I don't love. I don't know what I feel like the time of possession has got to be way tilted. So 18-16 for the Niners, 11-44 for the Jets. The Jets got the ball first, so the Niners will get the ball first in the second half. Chance for the Niners to do the old score on the way in, score on the way out of halftime thing, which is tough to come back from, particularly if they score a touchdown and it's 23-7, then basically the game is over. I don't know, man. I'm not sure that I have a good read on why the Jets defense is not being very effective here. During the scripted portion of the offense for the Niners, I saw their yards per play was like 3.4-ish. And you're like, yeah, Jets football, boo. Now it's 5.7. So pretty clearly they saw some things that they needed to adjust. They adjusted them, and now they're working. Jets being a little bit banged up defensively is not good. They are obviously, there are three very, very effective weapons of the wide receiving core for the Niners that are tough to cover, even if you have outstanding coverage. Kittle also brings an element that makes the absence of CMC not feel like a very significant absence. And honestly, Mason is going to go well over 100 yards in this game. He's already got 11 carries for 74. I didn't see the Jets' rush defense being as big of a problem as it has been. I think it's going to take a pretty special second half here from Rodgers and a little bit of luck and a lot better performance by the defense for the Jets to get back in this one. Total of 21.5 actually feels a little bit low.
I'm leaning over just because of game state. The Niners have been moving the ball. Every time we bet a team, they come out of half and they look like garbage in their first drive. But even a field goal to push this lead out, you're going to have to ramp up what you're doing on offense. We've seen Rodgers make some good passes. We've seen some guys open. This secondary is a little beat up. We're missing a good coverage linebacker in Greenlaw. You're missing Hufanga. Like, there's pieces missing. If they have to start throwing and picking up the pace a little, I think the Jets can still be effective. Yeah, and they've probably handed the ball off a little too much. And quick on the other side too. People on the inside, like the Dominic Poonies and the Colton McKivitz, and I know there's been a couple holding calls, but people are moving people up front for the Niners, and I didn't know how that matchup would go. I thought the Jets probably had a little bit of advantage with some of the names that you're talking about up front that aren't Trent Williams, but part of that run game going is just winning blocks, winning those battles up front right now for the Niners. So the Jets, I still think the Jets lose this game, but it feels like they're going to score some garbage points at least here.
Okay, so great news. It's down to 21, so we don't even have to sweat the hook now. And the Niners are out to 1.5. So basically, people are saying what we're saying, which is the Niners probably get points here out of the gate, and then this becomes very tough for the Jets to get back into. But over 21 works for me. If that works for you,
17-7 Niners
minus 103.
14-10, any of those.
Over 21 minus 103.
I do worry a little bit about Shanahan as well, but it's still early in the season. I think he knows better. Yeah. He knows better to do that.
The Niners didn't do a lot of turtling in primetime last year. They did a lot of skull fucking in prime time last year. You remember some of the second
when they have a big advantage on a defense like you're
seeing. They just put their thumbs on some teams. Surely, I don't know if they're going to have that advantage here, but it does feel like the Niners offense is not really troubled. I guess honestly, the second half of the handicap, which is the Jets get something, is where this gets spooky because again, after the scripted offense was over, after the first 15 plays were in the books, we had 3 plays, 0 yards, 1 minute, 21 seconds elapsed, 3 plays, 5 yards, 1 minute, 36 seconds elapsed. It was 2 extremely unimpressive drives to answer the Niners getting a field goal and a touchdown there. So, Hackett might be the bigger problem than I was willing to identify pre-season.
I'm there with you. At the same time, I think they can dial up enough stuff where I don't understand how close we are to where it was at the end of Green Bay tenure as far as Rodgers being given multiple plays at the line. I don't fully know where we're at between him and Hackett, but we've seen that where, hey, this isn't going well. And then Rodgers starts checking and things start heating up because he knows what he's doing up there. He's been reading defenses since we were in, a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think if Rodgers does have to step up a little, at least some garbage points. I don't know. We might only need 7 points out of this to at least get a push.
Okay. All right. No disputing here.
But I mean, to your point too about I think Jets have 3.6 yards per play now. The Niners have 5.2 on the ground. Like they're running rough shots. So even if they do want to slow it down and go back to the ground game,
they're getting explosive running.
They've been kind of successful.
Yeah. And again, like who's this unknown guy, Mason? Well,
flag behind me. It's a Timberwolves scarf.
Yeah, and the fact that they have somebody with young legs with some juice and a good scheme, it's solid. Oh yeah, it does kind of look like you have a Trump flag.
Where?
But it's if you can kind of squint and see TM.
Oh no, that's a Timberwolves.
Timberwolves. Yeah.
I thought maybe they meant this. This is
no, it's the scarf. Yeah. All right. So the last one, kind of closing thoughts here. Haven't really seen Brock Purdy go up against very many elite defenses in his short stint so far. He's been totally fine. He's 9 of 16 in this game, 6.6 yards.
Slow start for him though. I mean, it looked a little rough in the first drive or two, but he's gotten into it.
Yeah, it was. I think the fact that he didn't make a mistake on those drives, usually like he's like a guy that compounds mistakes, sort of, right? And the fact that he kind of got through that portion of the game and came out the other side makes me again confident enough in this over to get the points we need to play over 21. Okay, should we hit overtime? I know the game isn't back yet, but I want to talk about other stuff. I know. Does this game have the juice for you? Does this feel interesting?
It did because I won a bet.
Yeah.
It was nice getting, I send out the newsletter and I'm like, hey, I'm not a big bet, but I do like the Rodgers narrative of being rusty. And I think there's a lot of good matchups for the Niners, despite the defense being a little banged up. So I'm going to play a little Niners first half. And then, like 2 hours later, I'm at a freaking volleyball game. And you get is this real? Because the first account we saw was like kind of sketch, but it had a lot of followers. Then it's like, oh no, this is like real.
Yeah. All right. So there was no whispers, no cloak and dagger shit that McCaffrey wasn't going to go. That was a surprise. McCaffrey. Yeah. I have a McCaffrey friend that I always get confused with. Anyway. All right. Is there any soft indictment of Robert Saleh not having a little bit more of a defensive scheme cooked up for his old sparring partner in Shanahan?
I think you could give him a little shit because that was a narrative you saw brought up several times. Watch history, by the way. It's just way too big.
No, it's perfect size.
You can't see me. What if I tilt it the other way? Yeah, it is overtime. I'll make it smaller. I will make it smaller. I just found that earlier. But the narrative of the familiarity he had with Shanahan and his offenses and what he should be able to do. But also they don't have Reddick.
Oh, dude, over 21 closed minus 113. By the way, we got a little instantaneous CLV there. Did you see that? Sorry, I like it. Sorry to interrupt you.
I like it. No, but I do want to put some of it on Saleh because, like, looking at outside of Reddick, I mean, this is a top 3 defense from last year. You got Williams still. You got other Williams. I know Mosley got banged up, but you got the secondary. You got Sauce Gardner. You should be doing a little more on a team that's missing their number 1 running back, who's also a guy who you have to worry about. Lining up out wide, lining up in the slot. Like, he's a big problem to game plan for. I don't know. I never have understood we game plan for CMC and he's not playing, and that's actually bad. I've heard people try to make that argument. I don't know if I can buy that. I feel like it's good that CMC is not out there for you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just 100%. you're getting blown off the ball at the line of scrimmage. You're getting blown off the ball, on some of these screenplays. You're just not getting off blocks defensively. And I don't know, the front 7 doesn't look like they're as engaged as they should be for a big primetime starter like this.
Okay, so I agree with that. I also am a little.
Look at him. Now he finally gets some penetration in the backfield there.
Yeah, that was decent. Okay, so the other thing that I kind of have in the back of my head, which is spooking me a little bit about the potential for the Jets, is like the defense played up last year because they felt like they kind of had to, right? Any natural reason to expect that they're going to exhale a little bit this year now that Rodgers is back?
I feel like there's
exhale.
there's a point of pride being a really well thought of, really well spoken of defense. I think
Of course,
once you get a taste of that, you don't want to go back on that. Man, that was a sack, pretty much, that turned into a first down.
I know it.
Debo, I mean, we don't want to belabor it, but man, you get the ball in some of these guys' hands. Good
He's
job.
an athlete.
Yak monsters.
Yak attack.
I'm doing this StreamYard overlay size. I gotta Google that for how big I need to make this. He is lucky. Like this is the Brock Purdy luck that.
Oh, this is it. 100%. This is it. Yeah. Troy did get some sun this summer. He didn't see him at the beach here, but he found a beach somewhere, surely. The good overtime topic for you. What do you think of the Tom Brady roast?
The Tom Brady actual roast or the Tom Brady Twitter roast? Because
the Tom Brady Twitter roast.
Because he sucked on
he was pretty terrible. Yeah.
So I have the sound on Sundays on Red Zone.
Yeah, of course.
So I don't get a lot of any announcer, but
yeah,
eventually enough people said it where it's I got to pay attention when they go to the Cowboys game.
Yeah, same exact thing.
I need to figure out is it really this bad? He wasn't great. There were some very funny tweets about it. Somebody had one oh, finally Tom Brady sucks at something. It's funny.
Okay, a couple thoughts. Number one, his voice tone, didn't love, right? It's a little, it's a little whiny, kind of. Maybe I'm being critical.
This is the people that picked on this tone. The random, the staccato sentences.
Yes, and the random staccato sentences are derived from. I don't know if it's a fixable thing. This is my guess, but it seems like he is way too in his own head about not being critical, right? And we know that there's stories floating around about the refs, about the play. He couldn't spit it out. Sean Watson sucking. Like he just needed to just say it and exhale, and then it all would have been fine, and he could have just carried on, and it would have been a more comfortable situation. Yeah. But he was really hesitant to say something he was going to regret, and you can't do the job if you're going to do it that way. It's just not right. Although there were some random pauses that were what happened? Did we lose the booth? Did we lose the booth?
Pregnant pause.
It was like nobody was talking. It was are they okay? They're letting the game breathe for a very long time.
And it's funny. We do laud some announcers for that in big moments after,
of course,
after a big hit, and you want to hear the crowd going nuts. You want to just watch your baseball players rounding the bases and things happening. Jennings get knocked a little there. I didn't realize his hair looked like that.
That's quite a do, man.
That is a hell of a do.
The other thing is a bunch of the podcasts I listen to do the super cuts of the best calls of the best plays. A lot of them are local broadcast teams. There are so many phenomenally talented broadcasters. The idea that they had to pay Tom Brady $300 million to do that was something.
You want to, and this is a really fair point. Jets defense is really getting work now, Andy. They can't still be your number one defense. You have a point, but it's also
still number one offense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also the number one offense. It makes it really difficult. There's, we talk about week 2 being, overreaction week. You don't want to underreact either. This doesn't mean nothing because the number one defense should be winning some battles against the number one offense.
Yeah.
And in the end, if they end up giving up, let's say 30 points, if there's 2 more touchdowns by the Niners here.
Yep.
Despite being on the road, despite missing Hassan Reddick, they're they are getting carved up, and it's not just the run game. There's guys finding seams. It's all these receivers. So yeah, it might have to take a little bit of a dip.
All right, let's play a fun adjustment game and the adjustments of the 30 teams we've made so far. Okay, I got mine done. Homework is done here.
I'm not
Andy, the biggest delta in a power number for me was who?
Well, you had the Falcons low already.
The biggest delta in the power number.
Yeah, let me look at my ratings real quick.
This is easy.
Cleveland.
This is easy. This is easy.
It's not Cleveland?
No.
Oh, it's Minnesota up. Arizona up.
No. I was more judicious. I was more judicious going down than I was more aggressive going down than I was very conscientious going up.
And it's not Cleveland down?
No. There's one important player who matters a lot to a team rating.
Green Bay doesn't
count.
Green
Bay down, yes.
Green Bay doesn't count.
What do you? Oh, fuck yeah, it does.
It counts, but it's not.
How much of a delta do you think my numbers came out to? Because I was like literally going. I went down to a half point. Oh, that was. Please go in. Damn, he almost got it. Mason, I think, is going to get punched this one. Juice check out to the goal line.
I dropped how big of a quarterback rating.
I'm at 0.5.
Well, I dropped it to Bo Nix levels.
Okay.
Which makes Green Bay the 21st best team in the league.
Yeah.
And it changes their power number to barely, kind of right there in the middle of the pack, slightly below. So not great.
So I went lower than you on quarterback. I'm at now, my Green Bay number now is minus 1.7. That was it was minus 3.9 delta. So basically, it cost the Green Bay Packers 4 points on a neutral against an average team, going from Love to Willis. And some of the people out there who are pretty confident that Willis is unplayable, when I'm kind of in that boat a little, they're very, very sure that this Colts number should be like 7. And I'm probably not going to end up playing that game.
I disagree there.
I can't get there.
Well, because of where I think this offensive game plan is going to be. I think you have a very smart coach, and you have a Colts team that got carved up by the corpse of Joe Mixon.
Yes.
If you tell me Josh Jacobs isn't going to have like 125 yards and 2 touchdowns, and, the touchdowns are always tough because sometimes that's variance. He gets the ball down there, but it's going to really turn into we have to stack the box. We've really got to help it out. And then you look at who's in the secondary for the Colts. I mean, Willis has to be just barely above horse shit.
If he has more than 15 passes, something's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it really does have to turn into a goddamn running game for the Green Bay Packers. So that's why I told Rob, I said, I can't get there with this big of an adjustment on where they have it right now. But I also don't want to be the guy who gets in bed with, the week after I get in bed with Will Levis. Like it just doesn't feel good. So I said I might just play Jacobs props because it's the whole handicap. Like, hey, Jacobs is going to have a good day. Maybe I just go heavy on a Jacobs prop, play some alts, play him to score 2 touchdowns, play the backup to score. Name the backup Green Bay running back, by the way. Because
watched a lot of that game. It was Wilson, right? He had juice in that. He was the much better back. Wilson?
I'm gonna have to check.
Eugene Wilson?
Emmanuel Wilson.
Wilson.
He had absolute juice. And they have a rookie too. He was out. I think he sat for the Brazil game. Marshawn Lloyd. I'm not sure what his status will be coming up.
Okay. All right. So here's the other. There are 5 teams outside of the Green Bay Packers that I dropped by more than a point. In order, Atlanta, I'm down 1.6. Cincinnati, I'm down 1.6. Those are both health question marks about the quarterback. I think both Cousins and Burrow are hurt, and they may grow back into the numbers that I started with for the regular season, but they certainly should not be there now. I am down 1.4 on Cleveland, and I'm down 1.4 in Carolina. Those are also similarly rated to. All right, I'm down on the Carolina defense. That was where that 1.4 came from, and I'm down on the Cleveland offense. And then I'm down on the Raiders 1.1. So those are my stock downs.
I had Carolina as the 30th best team, whereas I had Washington behind them. I think they can be a little more lively offensively than Carolina, even though it's still not great. So I did move them down a little.
Okay.
Not completely done with my offensive changes. I went and did all my defensive stuff first, but Carolina moved down because of that. New Orleans, I wasn't able to do much. Like, hey, I already had you rated as the 5th best defense.
Yep.
You looked pretty well, or looked pretty good. Cleveland, defensively, I had to make a slight adjustment. I had them held in pretty high regard. And then the same thing with Pittsburgh too. I had a pretty good rating on them, and Watt was outstanding, but I feel like a lot of that was already built into what I have for a pass rush number there. Like, so I didn't make big adjustments there.
Pittsburgh's offense for me is the worst in the NFL. Maybe Carolina, but yeah. Oof.
Green Bay's run stop is another one where I wish they had played any other team, so I can
on any other field.
On any other field, I'd have a much better feeling about what I was going to do with that number. So that was low, but I feel like Green Bay played pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah, Minnesota went up. Minnesota, I had as the 28th best defense. That was a mistake. You played a
Minnesota
rookie.
Was my biggest upgrade. Not quite a full point for me.
Excuse me, you didn't play a rookie. You played essentially. You played a rookie. I keep mixing up Washington and New York as far as hey, you looked really good, but you played Washington and New York. Like, man, Minnesota's tackles looked really good against that pass rush. They pitched a couple of shutouts. The defense was confusing the shit out of Dable, who, whatever you want to say about him, I still thought that was a worry. Like, he was a better play caller than Kafka. I think he brought some stuff that, I thought that would be a lot better. I mean, just fucking Flores was good. So there was a lot of stuff about Minnesota to like, and it's fun because they're going to play the best team in the NFC next week.
Right. Plus, they got prime Andrew Van Ginkel.
Andrew Van Ginkel, everybody that Flores brought in looks so good. Minnesota is one of the bigger upgrades because I didn't do a lot with their offense, and I haven't finished the offenses yet, but I won't be doing a lot of their offense. It's about what I thought we'd get. You get a little upgrade for quarterback because the scheme looked good for him, but that defense got an upgrade.
Okay, so biggest stock up for me was Minnesota, 0.9 to the good. Second for me was the Chargers, 0.8 to the good. I thought the Chargers doing that against the Vegas defense was especially impressive, right? If that had been because this is the other impossible thing to kind of parse when it comes to week 1 to week 2 adjustments is like, how much do you really touch your Tampa Bay number? Like, they just skull fucked a terrible defense. Like, you can't really be that excited. I mean, even Minnesota, I was very cautious about adjusting those defensive numbers because they embarrassed Daniel Jones, who we know to be bad. Like, I don't know that you can take as much from those games as you can the Chargers handling the Raiders defense, especially the Raiders.
Joe Alt is already he's like a top 10 tackle, man.
I mean, if there was an award given for offensive rookie of the week, it's Joe Alt. He outperformed every quarterback and wide receiver who made their first start. A pick for Aaron Rodgers. More points for the Niners.
Where they were on the field, I wasn't paying attention.
It was about midfield.
About midfield. Well, good. Short field. Let's get in there. There's a flag on the play. We're going to see what the laundry is here. Maybe it's after the play. Rodgers' personal foul. That's his first towards disqualification. I made that up, but it'd be funny. He doesn't look happy.
Okay, so
he's coming back.
Minnesota up on defense mostly. Chargers up on offense mostly. Upgraded Indy's offense. I thought they were very impressive. More just kind of back to where we were when we previewed them than really upgrading them. I think I'm upgrading Tennessee's defense. My number on Tennessee went up despite the abortion that was the non-cover. I don't know that I can downgrade them offensively in much more than I already have, and their defense I think is pretty strong. So we'll see if that's right, ends up being right or wrong, but it obviously makes me want to bet Tennessee this week. Up on Tampa, up on Pitt, up on New Orleans.
Where did you have Tennessee?
None of these should be surprises.
Before? I had Tennessee as a 16th ranked defense.
Before?
Dead nuts 50 percentile. That's where I started at. So I don't know if I need to move it up a lot. I think I was kind of high.
I was at 46.7. So I was at a 4.55 for Tennessee. And now I think 5.5, 5.5 is where I landed after reviewing the tape.
I want to watch more of their pass rush because I think that's where
they generated a lot of pressures, and it was a guy I've never really heard of. Did you see that? Who was like kind of the star there? Let me pull up this number. Pass rush, QBR, QBP. It was
Arden Key. Tavondre Sweat was good for his debut. Harold Landry. You've heard of Harold Landry?
Yeah, no, it wasn't either.
Ernest Jones was fine in his Tennessee debut, I thought. Arden Key.
Let me see here.
This is a good question from Bavarian Hodler. How did you adjust the ratings for Jalen Hurts' poor performance? It's kind of where I had Jalen Hurts, so
yeah,
it wasn't terrible.
Yeah, no, I thought Jalen Hurts did exactly what you would expect him to do. I did not make any adjustments to Philly. I kind of, again, like if Jordan Love hadn't gotten hurt, I don't think I would have adjusted Green Bay either. You just got to toss that game because of the weird field.
Yeah. I have Philly's a very good offense still. I mean, he's going to get bailed out a lot by those guys. He has such good receivers.
I have my finger on the trigger to downgrade the defense there based on what we saw, especially the coverage. But I also want to
it's so hard with the field was a skating rink.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to see it. Maybe I'm thinking of another team who had a funny or a surprising pass rush pop.
I can say Arden Key 5 more times.
No, Landry was good. Key was good. Tavondre Sweat got 2 pressures. Jack Gibbons got 2 pressures.
Have you seen how big that guy is?
Yes. He is a very physical individual.
Like he has some of the same features as Sidney Sweeney.
Yeah. Yes, he does. He's got some big bouncy ones. Did you see the numbers for the real surprising pressure number was a defensive rookie. Can you name him?
I mean the big names. Turner had a decent game. Verse last night had a couple hits.
Verse had six pressures last night.
Yeah, he got in there. He got his nose in there a bunch.
That is good enough for top 10 on the week.
That was a big question about that defense with losing Donald, what it would be, and we saw them run, but the pass rush was pretty good against what we all consider a top 2, top 3 offensive line.
Yeah,
so
if you can do that against Detroit, then you probably should be the favorite for D-Roy.
Well, find a defense that can't, or an offense that can't run that effectively, and it's more reliant on the pass, that doesn't have a slot receiver as your best outlet guy. It's not like you got the ball a lot, but I mean, I think they're going to do pretty well if they can pass rush like that. Jesus, Brock, what are you doing? Just threw a ball, so use check that. It's not that big.
Yeah, not going swimmingly for our action here.
We need this third down. You know what this is, Drew?
House call.
It's a big third down.
All right. There were no real. They were like the quarterback pressure leader for everyone was a surprise. Micah Parsons, he had 9. Lawrence and just the list of guys, it's like a who's who of guys who are good, and then a couple of surprises: Parsons, Lawrence, Hendricks, Dexter Lawrence. Number 5, Seattle Seahawk, Boye Mafe had himself
Minnesota Gopher.
Nice game, generating some pressure. He had 7, got 1 sack out of it. Marcus Davenport made himself known last night for the Lions. Chase Young is back from the dead for the Saints. Hutchinson, Jared Verse.
Saint again, great assault on the Saints defense. But I'm excited to see them play some good teams because I came into the year with them pretty high.
I guess which was your favorite play of the Panthers? Was it the one where the offensive lineman tackled Bryce Young running? Or was it the one where the three guys tackled each other on the defense pursuit?
We need like a shower fart play of the week. And honestly, even though that game was so bad from so many angles for the Carolina Panthers, I still think it was probably snapping the ball into the guy on motion for the Titans.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, Atlanta. That was Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta did that.
That was the Atlanta. Just hey, we're gonna snap and like TJ Watt's there. Well, he got a good start because he's TJ Watt. It just rolls right to him. That's what he needs. That one was garbage. I mean, going back to that Tennessee game, the interception that Levis threw late, where he just underhand lobbed it up. It looked like that fake punt from that high school game. Shower for play is the Levis pick. I'll give it to you, Heart Attack.
The Levis pick was phenomenally bad. Yeah,
it was pretty bad. Well, especially since he got returned.
Well, it's just like a shower fart game can't just be bad. It's got to be like a little funny. And if Levis doesn't do the reaction, then I'm maybe not as interested in that play. But the reaction was priceless.
Full surrender code.
Yeah, the funniness of the Carolina Panthers tackling each other, like dominoes, boom, 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 on the defense was pretty amazing.
It's straight up like the White Sox when they have a blooper play.
Brock Purdy is a fucking sun god, man. How does he get this kind of luck? Just an awful decision, awful pass.
So I'm curious. I thought they were throwing deep on this play because they were going to go for it on fourth. I understand the score, but they did get that. Moody, we talked about this before you got on with Pizzola. I have a conspiracy theory on the balls. You remember when they introduced the kicker balls and they wouldn't let anyone touch them? Something has changed with that process, or who's allowed to touch them, because kickers can't miss a 50-yard field goal all of a sudden. We've already, before this game, we already set the record for most 50-yarders in a week.
He slipped that one in there. That was the threading of the needle.
It's still like they're making way too many of these. Either that or they're not testing the kickers and they're all juiced. That's my.
Oh, wait, was that a doink? It was a doink.
It doinked it in.
Doinked it in.
All right, we got 10 points. We're not in the worst shape. Jets need to bring something here.
They need to score a touchdown on this drive. Yeah. Or pick six. I don't really care. One or the other, please. Just do something. The interception wasn't really Rodgers' fault. They had a little bit going up until that interception.
No, it was a deflection. It was a Cowboys interception.
It was a Cowboys interception, yes.
We should just call them that. When it's clearly, it's clearly someone's fault for not catching the ball, but it just bounces right to a guy. That's a Cowboys interception. Any totals?
By the way, did you see the team level pressure numbers for the Cowboys? Oh my God, dude. God.
Rob was in strong agreement on my Mike Zimmer's a better DC than Dan Quinn.
Feels like it.
And Zimmer was absolutely in his bag because everybody had good grades.
Well, you know what a lot of people were saying, which I kind of chalked up to narrative, not angle, was that's an offense that he has plenty of experience coordinating against. So is one this week.
That's fair. No, I like Zimmer in that spot. Hopefully he gets hired as a coach again and fails. That'll be funny. That people just never, ever, ever learn their lessons.
Yeah,
we won't really know on Dan Quinn for a couple of years. They just don't have a roster where you can really judge what he's done.
I see. You sounds like you hadn't gotten to all the offensive adjustments yet. But it's going to be pretty tempting to upgrade your Saints O-line number, I'm guessing. And that's kind of an important unit to really try to evaluate, considering who they're playing this week. Right? Because like if the thesis is the Saints they're in trouble when there's pressure on Carr, this is the bellwether.
So the only problem was they had another injury. Like I don't think I can upgrade that. Yeah, I'm trying to think which guard it was now. I'm looking up. I'm trying to find my notes because my notes are just such a mess right now. It's been a struggle this week, Drew, to getting back into my rhythm of the process of an NFL season. It's always such a disaster. I was losing my shit this morning as every play I was discussing in the Discord, like, oh, I like this one a lot. And then an hour later, like, oh, Rass hit that. It's up 2 points. Good. Perfect. That's exactly
Classic.
what I need. Classic. Just, well, at least somebody else likes it. So Lucas Patrick left the game with a toe injury in the first half. Got to follow up on that. Toes can be problemsome, even, especially if you're 350 pounds. Lattimore doesn't sound like he's good. Moore or Foster Moreau with the concussion symptoms, that's something that can hold him up for who knows how many games. So they had some injuries. I'm a little sketched out by New Orleans, especially if Lucas Patrick's not good to go, because that offensive line is already
backfilled by Nick Saldiveri.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound
the rookie looked okay. Fuaga,
Fuaga was good.
But again, it's against a really bad pass rush. Did
you see that Penning got graded that well?
I didn't look at that for offensive line yet.
Man, this is such a night and day from preparing for Carolina, preparing for
really good throw by Rodgers. Jesus Christ.
Nice work.
Yeah, we'll see what this offensive line looks like. And Holt, as far as the totals to be mindful with the Hurricane, it looks like it's going to be dead set on New Orleans. And I mean, maybe a little bit on Houston. And those are both domes. So not real worried about that. I guess if it does keep traveling inland towards maybe, I don't know, what's your next. Sometimes you get those storms that follow a hurricane's path and it gets ugly. Like Nashville, the way it's moving, I'm not super sure what we'd see it next. So the weather this week looks good according to our weather guy in the Discord. Yeah. C guy call him. Rodgers does have a little juice. Yeah, let's call it a night. It's funny, we did like 8 minutes last night. We did 40 tonight.
Well, we did the podcast.
I know, but it's just like, even if we hadn't, I didn't have a lot to talk about in that game.
Well, we've basically done a whole third podcast for the week. We should cut this. Just post it. Stock up, stock down. Yeah. All right, and actually, maybe we'll talk off the air about what our ultimate plan is, but I don't mind doing stock up, stock down after we've digested a little bit more than just the instant reactions, because everybody did that. I don't know if there was any value to be gleaned from our podcast last night, as fun as it was to talk about football again.
It is. Yeah. We've gone back and forth on how the Sunday pod should go. You either have to be the guy who's like betting the markets live as soon as they're popping at like 6:30.
You don't have interest in that, right?
Or, well, it's just so hard. And again, it sucks because not everyone's going to get those numbers. Was that a free play?
Rodgers touchdown.
Weird. Free play Rodgers touchdown. Seen that for 100 years. Oh, people with Lazard props. People with Lazard props. There you go.
Lazard. The rumors of his demise have been greatly overstated, apparently.
The fact that Spellman, the fact that they let that play go, he was in the backfield. Like, I guess maybe they said there's a running back over there, so it's not unabated completely, but that guy was standing over the line. That's pretty funny. Well, good for us.
All right. So let's call it pod. One more touchdown.
Or 2 field goals.
Let's go. I guess 2 field goals isn't impossible if the Jets get the next one.
Field goal and a safety. Going for 2 here.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. I hope it's not one of those uninspiring 2-point rushes that gets smoked at the line of scrimmage.
Oh, weird! A rush out of the shotgun didn't work.
Didn't work. I saw a lot of that yesterday. There was some bad short yardage, bad high leverage short yardage stuff yesterday. How does that affect us? Now we need
16. 2 field goals still gets you there. Touchdown or 2 field goals.
But a field goal and a safety doesn't get us there now. Damn.
Oh, it does. It does not. So, all right, we'll see you guys. Catch you Wednesday. I don't like the overlay over my face.